Both teams stand atop their divisions with their rivals not far behind. Tonight, the Cardinals, led by two-time National League MVP Albert Pujols and Cy Young contender Chris Carpenter, invade L.A. to take on Manny Ramirez and the Dodgers. Next on Monday Night Baseball.
Ricky's going. 300 games. It's over. It's over. A home run.
From one of the great baseball palaces of the game, we welcome you to Monday Night Baseball presented by Holiday Inn. And tonight, from Dodger Stadium, the St. Louis Cardinals, who've been rolling since the All-Star break, open up a three-game series with Los Angeles and a Dodger ball club that got knocked around the last time they faced the Cardinals in July, losing 3 out of 4. That series lit a fire under St. Louis because they jumped from a second-place club in the Central into first and have been playing great baseball to open up a 5-game lead. The Dodgers, however, have stumbled a bit. Their 9-game lead has shrunk to 5, and tonight they'll be facing one of the toughest pitchers in the National League. It's a beautiful night in Los Angeles. Great to have you along. I'm Dave O'Brien. Happy to be joined, of course, by Steve Phillips and Oral Hershiser at many great nights on this very diamond. This Cardinal team is rolling, Oral. They've won 8 out of 9. Pujols is having another MVP caliber year. Carpenter has been just brilliant. It's a team feeling very good about itself right now.
They sure are. And Albert Pujols, since getting Matt Holliday, is feeling very good about this lineup with that protection. Not only has he won an MVP, won it last year, this could be his 3rd one this year, and possible triple crown. 31 points short of the batting title, a home run up, and an RBI shy of those 3. And then you go to Chris Carpenter on the mound, a Cy Young Award winner. Some teams have a #1, some have an ace, but very few have a Cy Young Award winner throwing like a Cy Young Award winner. When these two are in the lineup and Carpenter's on the mound, the Cardinals have a good shot of winning.
Well, Steve, this Dodger team has the same size lead in their division as the Cardinals have in theirs, a 5-game lead, but they don't appear nearly as happy or as confident as the Cardinals coming into this series. One thing the Dodgers do have that nobody else chasing them has, that's Manny Ramirez.
Well, when playoff contending teams get to the month of August and you start to struggle a little bit, you have to look to the veterans for leadership. Manny Ramirez is that veteran, that guy that leads this young offense for the Los Angeles Dodgers. But what the Dodgers need, they don't need the guy who's hitting a respectable .291 since he's come back from the 50-game suspension. They need that Manny Ramirez that they traded for last season, the guy who hit .396 down the stretch, who hit 17 home runs, drove in 53 runs, and who spawned the concept of Manny Wood out in left field. They need that leader, that energizer to their club. They're hoping he's going to start to get it going offensively and start to carry this team.
Well, Manny Ramirez against Chris Carpenter, that should be a whole lot of fun. Manny against anybody seems to be a lot of fun. That's the matchup tonight. Manny and Pujols as well, ready to tangle here in L.A. in what could be a prelude to October and the postseason. Cardinals Dodgers next on Monday Night Baseball.
ESPN Monday Night Baseball is presented by Holiday Inn. Stay 8 nights and score 2 MLB tickets. And in part by Mazda's Summer Drive-Off event. Drive off with the best deals of the summer on a fun-to-drive Mazda. And One A Day Men's, the official multivitamin of MLB, specially formulated for men.
Oh, we certainly hope we get a break in the weather here in Southern California. We're not sure how they take this night after night. A slice of heaven on a Monday night. It's the Cardinals and the Dodgers from Dodger Stadium. Built in 1962, that's when it opened. And it is just as spectacular today as it was 47 years ago. Tony La Russa and his Cardinals coming in. They just swept the Padres on Sunday to make it 8 of their last 9. They are a season-high 15 games over 500 coming to Los Angeles. And since the All-Star break, they're 18-10. They are one of the best teams in the game since they hosted that All-Star game. The Dodgers today going with a right-hander in Charlie Hager, who makes his Dodger debut. Never seriously considered for a major league job, Oral, in spring training. He gets a chance tonight. He's a knuckleball guy for the most part. The Dodgers have burned through plenty of other starters here in mid-August. He was 11-6 at Albuquerque. They figured they'd give him a shot because Billingsley is not healthy enough to go tonight. They moved him back a night.
Yeah, Billingsley tweaked his hamstring, has needed an extra day, missed a start, but will be in here tomorrow. But Billingsley pulled his hamstring, and Corotto got hit in a very almost tragic accident with Corotto. But Billingsley tweaked his hamstring.
And that was on August 7th. He strained that running out a single against the Braves. Forced to miss his scheduled start last week. And then what you alluded to on Saturday night, Hiroki Kuroda hit on the side of the head above the right ear by a Rusty Ryle line drive. My goodness, he said I am lucky to be alive.
I mean, so scary right there. I mean, you're the closest position to the hitter, and the ball comes right back at you. You just could not react quickly enough, and obviously a very scared Dodger team. But the good news is he spent a night in the hospital. He's out, feeling better, and there's a chance he could be back in the rotation very quickly.
So Billingsley backed off one night. He is 11-6 coming into this series with a 373 earned run average. Time now for a look at the starting lineup that Hager will face. Brought to you by Jack Daniels. It'll be Skip Schumacher at the top. Then Brendan Ryan, Albert Pujols having another huge year, 38 homers. But Matt Holliday has been sensational since that acquisition was made.
Well, you see that .459 batting average, the highest since his acquisition to the team of anybody else in the game, and 15-6 record since the acquisition of Matt Holliday. So not only is he producing, the Cardinals are winning, the best record since that trade happened.
Hager on the mound, and as mentioned, 25 years old out of Livonia, Michigan. A guy who's only made one other major league start. This was not expected to happen, but Charlie Hager is delighted. I'm not so sure by the end of the night he'll be that happy against this lineup.
Well, a lineup you have to respect as a 25-year-old, making his debut as a Dodger and played with the White Sox, been in the big leagues a little bit here and there, but has not really performed very well at this level. But he throws a knuckleball, the big glove on Brad Ausmus. So he took that back from days when he caught Steve Sparks, it was, I think, back in '04, that glove last used, and Russell Martin looking on, not having to use the big glove. The regular Dodger catcher won't have to get beat up by the knuckleball.
All right, we're set for the first pitch. Hager in his Dodger debut. He will also mix in a fastball around 85 to 88 miles an hour and a curveball, and he changes speeds on that knuckleball. We'll see how effectively, though. He studied a lot of tape of Tim Wakefield. He's worked with Charlie Huff. We'll see if it pays off tonight in the big ballpark in L.A. And Schumacher takes the first one in there for a strike. We're underway.
We'll see him vary speeds on that knuckleball, and these Cardinals with Schumacher at the top will want to get a good look at it the first time through the order.
Very quickly 0-2.
Hager has that get me over knuckleball, that kind of softer one, and then when he wants to try to put a hitter away, he puts a little more velocity on it. It's a pitch that doesn't tend to end up in the strike zone. It's designed to get a hitter to chase it out of the zone.
Chopped right back to him on the hill, and Hager on to first base for a fast out. One man away now defensively around Charlie Hager tonight. Here's how the Dodgers line up. Manny Ramirez in left, Kemp in center, Ethier in right field. Around the infield, it's Blake for call, Hudson at second, Loney at first, and as you mentioned, Ausmus with the 3 Gold Gloves behind the plate.
Well, this is a team that can really catch the ball, this Dodger team. Their defense is outstanding, and roaming these big spaces here at Dodger Stadium with the speed they have out there.
Now they've gone 8 errors, 8 games since they made their last error. Brendan Ryan steps in, the shortstop, hitting .290 with a home run, and he'll take a ball inside.
Well, one thing I've noticed already about Charlie Hager is his knuckleball is up, and usually the thing as a hitter is when it's high, let it fly. When it's low, let it go.
He went with a fastball there at 83.
You know, it's interesting talking to Hal McRae, the Cardinals hitting coach, around the cage. What he doesn't want his hitters to do is get themselves in a fastball count, 2-0, 3-1, and take the fastball.
The knuckleball, but caught by Loney. 2 down, and Albert Pujols on his way up, hitting .325, 38 homers, and already 104 runs batted in. Albert, the number 3 hitter in the National League. He is 31 points off of the hitting lead, so that would appear to be a stretch. But number 1 in homers, number 2 in RBIs in the NL.
Interesting when you think of Albert Pujols, of the 3 categories, you would think, oh, he's probably won a home run title. He's probably won an RBI title, but the only one of the 3 is the batting title, which he won in '03 at .359.
2 hops, and Blake across the diamond. And a good start for Charlie Hager in his Dodger debut. He gets St. Louis 1-2-3. Chris Carpenter, 12-3, taking them out in a moment. Back in L.A., Joe Torre's Dodgers had a 9-game lead at one point, appeared to be cruising. They have gone 8-13 since. Colorado has closed the gap to within 5. We look at the starting lineup now of the L.A. team, brought to you by Jack Daniels. Rafael Furcal at the top. Orlando Hudson hitting .293. And then Andre Ethier, who's hit 24 homers to lead the ball club.
They'll lead him in RBIs as well with 80 RBIs. How about 18 RBIs in his last 16 games? He's been on fire the most at bats in the major leagues with runners in scoring position this year.
Facing Chris Carpenter, who has won 7 straight decisions.
And he owns the outside part of the plate. All these Cardinal pitchers, but with his control, he works the outside corner with all his pitches, and you know you're good when you can tell the hitter what's coming, and it's still hard to hit.
Furcal hitting .262, not the speed guy that he used to be, but swinging a pretty good bat in recent days. In fact, he's reached base in 25 consecutive games. And he'll take that one too high.
Well, the top of this Dodger order has a lot of energy. Furcal used to steal an awful lot of bags. He still gets on, but doesn't run quite as much. With Orlando Hudson behind him, though, they have a good 1-2 punch.
And Steve, when you look at it, this is a guy who not that long ago in 05 stole 46 bases. He's stole all of 6 now this season.
Well, had back surgery last year. Remember, he wasn't quite right at the end of the year, and I just don't think his legs have come back what they were.
2-1 ripped up the middle for a base hit. He's on again. Well, he has been doing a lot of that. A sharp single by Furcal to get started against Carpenter. A look at the Cardinals on the defensive side. Holiday in left field, Ankiel in center. Remember, he ran into a wall earlier this season. He was banged up. DeRosa, Ryan Schumacher, and Pujols has won a Gold Glove on the infield. And Molina, just a terror back there as far as picking off guys at first base. He's the best in the business at that.
An outstanding arm, and they really can cut down the running game. Chris Carpenter only 1 stolen base against them, 3 caught stealing this year. Molina throwing out 38% of the runners, so it's going to be very difficult for the Dodgers to put runners in motion unless it's just to stay out of the double play.
Here's Hudson hitting .293, 8 homers, 36 runs batted in. He's reached base in 15 in a row, and really been swinging an excellent bat since the All-Star break. DeRosa creeping in at third against the bunt, which is popped up. Molina right there in the circle will make the catch. So Hudson can't get it down, and Carpenter gets a break.
Well, he was trying to bunt for a hit, but he was also trying to position it at the same time, and just really makes a mistake dropping the barrel of the bat. Instead of creating the angle when he squared around to then push it or pull it, he created the angle when the ball approached the plate, and in doing that dropped the head of the bat and popped it up.
That'll send up Andre Ethier, the right fielder. Now, the St. Louis pitching staff has induced more double plays than any staff in the major leagues. And it is also, in particular, a starting rotation that is probably undervalued somehow. That one deep into the alley, backing up Holiday. He can't get it. It short hops the wall for Collin to third. They put the brakes on him. It's a double for Ethier. Second and third for the Dodgers on an early attack on Chris Carpenter.
Well, last time Chris Carpenter pitched against the Dodgers, he did not have his good stuff. One of the things that Orel talked about is Carpenter keeps the ball away and down in the zone. He's one of the best at that, but a good low ball hitter. Andre Ethier just goes down and gets his fastball. Doesn't try to do too much. He goes to the middle of the field, and that's been a theme and philosophy of the Dodgers around the batting cage today. Don't try to pull the ball against the Cardinals. Go back up the middle, use the big part of the field.
And now Carpenter in early trouble gets Manny Ramirez. Second and third, 1 man out. Manny at .314, 13 homers, and 44 runs batted in. Of course, his numbers following the suspension. They do have first base open.
I wouldn't be surprised if they walk him right here and face Casey Blake on deck, who could be a good double play man, and that's what we're going to get.
So they'll take the bat out of Manny's hand and put him on. The crowd doesn't like it as they continue to gather here at Dodger Stadium. The bases will be loaded for Blake.
It's coming up here at Dodger Stadium. Manny bobblehead all night, and the second bobblehead that they're putting out is Manny getting a curtain call, so it won't happen after an intentional walk. That pose.
So Ramirez will take his base, and Blake, the number 5 hitter, will step in. They're all filled up. with Fricall at third and Ethier at second and Manny at first. Blake has really been scuffling. He went 2 for 21 on their 6-game road trip, and he struck out 11 times in his last 6 games. So this move makes all the sense in the world.
Well, 15th intentional walk to Manny Ramirez this year, and that protection behind him is the thing. Now, you know, first base is open, so that's one reason to do it. The other thing is Ramirez is really the only Dodger hitter who's had any success against Carpenter. 286 average, 2 home runs in his career. Nobody else even hitting that much against Carpenter.
Blake 1 for 5 in his career against the right-hander from Exeter, New Hampshire. He misfired there, and he's off early.
Well, when he's kept the ball down, they've had some good swings at him, and now he looks like he's trying to kind of overthrow. I would expect him to go sinker away right here and just hope Casey Blake rolls over one, because he needs the strike. The away area is the biggest part of the plate as far as the umpire's eyes are concerned to get a strike. Anything in or up is a little harder.
The 2-0 to right field. Ludwig there to get underneath. Plenty deep enough. Here comes Fricall. He is in to score. Throw to third. Got him! Got him at third base and winds up a double play. That run does score. It does count. Fricall beat it. But Ludwig came up gunning. And Ethier is cut down at third base. So it felt like a big inning building for the Dodgers against Carpenter. Winds up with only 1 run on the board.
This ball slicing toward the line. Ryan Ludwig does a nice job getting around it, coming up throwing. He didn't even hesitate. He's going to third base to try to get Ethier. An outstanding throw. The tag by DeRosa, and they're out of the inning.
Well, back in Los Angeles, it is 1-0 Dodgers, but LA was counting on a lot more. They had the bases loaded, 1 out. They only get 1 out of that because of that man's peg from right field. Ludwig with a spectacular throw to cut down Ethier. Everybody in the building, including Ethier, was just shocked that he was out at third base, not because the umpire blew the call or anything, just because he never got there. Here's Holliday at 459, 5 homers since joining the Cardinals. Bat goes flying. Lost the handle on that swing and miss. It went right down the tunnel.
Well, hopefully nobody walking up the stairs. Tommy Lasorda reflecting back to the All-Star game that year with the coach at third base, and the bat came down, and Tommy looked like a weeble over at third base. And you see the knuckleball rolling and the bat flying from Matt Holliday, taking a hefty swing at this one. And
look out, Tommy.
Does that remind you of the All-Star game when you did the flip?
Yeah, exactly. He got hit while coaching third base.
I'm surprised to see him. I hadn't seen him before the game. He must have just got back from Brooklyn. He was inducted into the Baseball Brooklyn Hall of Fame, I guess. I was asking a bunch of the Dodger people if I could say hi to the old skipper, and they said he's not here. Well, there he is.
Congratulations, Tommy. Up and in on Holliday, Ludwig on deck, and then Rick Ankiel.
I think he had all of 4 innings for Brooklyn, and he made the Hall of Fame.
He kept a lot of those restaurants in business. Here's the 2-2. Big swing by Holliday, really taking some cuts. St. Louis has gone 15-6 since they got him from Oakland.
Hager would like to get this knuckleball down Orel a little bit. It's a little up in the zone, and that's a hittable pitch.
And that with K-zone there tracking that pitch, there's not a lot of movement there. I think the Cardinal hitters are going to go back and say, guys, it's just speed right now. There's not a lot of movement. They're fouling off, but they might be trying to do a little too much because it doesn't look like it's going to create any anxiety as a hitter. So they're just lunging out there, and they're just a little early right now. That's not why they're making solid contact. We saw the line out by Brendan Ryan. He was all over it. Skip Schumacher, even in a 2-strike count, really wasn't fooled on the ground ball. Albert was all over it. So we'll see if this holds up.
Another one spoiled by Holliday.
You know, the knuckleball is supposed to tumble as it comes into the plate. You think about the Tim Wakefield knuckleball as it comes into the plate, and it seems like Hager's throwing a little bit harder, and actually from my eye, naked eye, it looks like there's more rotation on the ball than a Wakefield knuckleball, which means it's not going to tumble as much. So you're right. It's just a change. It's a 67-mile-per-hour pitch. It's not moving a lot.
That was the first one. Looked like to me had a little wobble to it where it went 2 different directions. I was teammates with Tom Candiotti. I coached R.A. Dickey, who actually has kind of the
repertoire of the knuckleball and the fastball like we have tonight with Charlie, but you can see that ball's got some rotation on it. Outstanding knuckleball has anywhere from a half to one rotation.
Ninth pitch of the at-bat popped him up. Hudson out, Ethier in. Hudson says he wants it. Well, he has retired the first 4 in a row. Let's go back to Ryan Ludwig's tremendous throw to end the inning.
Well, I like how he moved around the ball right there. The ball's kind of tailing toward the line. He moved around it, and he knew he was going to go to third base. The quick transfer from the glove to the throwing hand. And Andre Ethier looks like his leg might have gotten in as Mark DeRosa's tag goes up at the belt or at the kneecap. Bang, bang play, but Adrian Johnson, the third base umpire, right on top of it and bangs him out.
If you think about they're out by a step there and you're at home and going, why didn't he throw home? Well, you got Furcal running from third, who's probably a step quicker than Ethier, so that bang bang play was only an out at third base.
A 7 outfield assists, as we showed you there, as that one's pop foul out of play. But you don't think of Ryan Ludwig as a cannon in the outfield. A good arm, an accurate arm, but not that kind of a throw.
But mechanically sound. I mean, that was fundamentally sound the way he went about doing it, and that is the story of the St. Louis Cardinals. They do things fundamentally right. You may not have the best arm, but do it the proper way so that you can be as efficient as possible. That, you know, you may not get everybody, but you'll get some guys.
And why do we think that's a great arm? We think it's a great arm because of the accuracy. If that ball is 6 feet left or right, the third baseman runs up with no play, and you can't even grade the arm. But when it's on the bag and gets him out, you're talking about it.
Down for it for call. Speaking of good arms. Well, Hager may not be getting that tumbling action. He may not have a Tim Wakefield or a Charlie Huff knuckler going, but he has retired 5 in a row. He has one previous major league start. That didn't go well. He said, I was very amped up. He was starting for the Chicago White Sox. It was a rough outing. He walked 6 in 4 1/3. He gave up 5 earned runs. But tonight, he has been smoother. Cut on and missed by Ankiel, who went for the downs.
Well, it's critical for Hager to be able to throw his knuckleball for a strike, because if he can't, and he does use his fastball and fastball counts, he's got a chance to be in trouble.
Well, he's jumped in front of Ankiel. 0-2. Ankiel, a .234 hitter. This is 2 pitches ago.
Well, to me, the knuckleball's not doing a lot, and the Cardinals are getting a little too aggressive. You can see there's a lot of rotation. We have all seen that on super slow-mo knuckleballs where all we see is red and white, but that one is spinning.
Blake is there in foul ground. Hager with another 1-2-3. He's faced 6. He's retired 6. He leads 1-0. The Cardinals have really taken control of this division, the NL Central. A season high 15 games over 500. The Cubs 5 games off the pace at 60 and 55. The Brewers, however, have slumped badly. They're now under 500. Same story with the Astros at 9.5 games back. And the Cardinals are rolling. They've won 8 out of their last 9 games, with Mr. Pujols taking center stage, Steve.
Well, I tell you what, you look at that division, and I think the St. Louis Cardinals right now 3 deep in the rotation with Wainwright, Carpenter, and Joel Pinheiro. They're Kyle Loesch in the 4th spot. They're looking for a 5th starter, trying to figure out who to go there. But starting pitching is so critical, and the teams that have had good starting pitching are the ones who are on top of this division.
Matt Kemp will lead things off here and take a strike from Carpenter, trying to settle down after a rocky first inning. He gave up 2 hits, a single and a double. Intentionally walking Ramirez, his right fielder, bailed him out of what could have been a really bad start for him. It's only the 5th time this season, Oral, that he's allowed a run in the first inning.
Yeah, he usually breaks on top against the opposing pitcher and nails people down. Right now, to me, he looks like he's got a little bit of a tired arm. He doesn't look like his pitches are very snapping or as accurate as normal.
He looks like he's laboring with his mechanics, too. Something's out of sync with him. And you know, he took a deep breath on the mound earlier, and we saw a shot of the dugout where Tony La Russa and Dave Duncan were kind of talking and gesturing about his delivery. So we're going to keep an eye on that.
And missed down low, and he's fallen behind again. 3-1.
Well, they've got great poker faces over there on the Cardinal bench, but Chris Carpenter's body language to me just doesn't look right. And I don't have any inside information on him. I'm just going strictly on just watching the game and knowing what I know of Chris Carpenter when he's right. But usually he's 90 to 93, good late movement.
Cut on and missed, and Kemp may have really helped him there on a 93-mile-an-hour fastball. He strikes him out. First K for Chris Carpenter.
Number 7, James Loney.
Dodgers ahead here 1-0. Here's a breakdown of the division. You mentioned the Cardinal pitching. It's been so good, and Holiday and DeRosa have helped in different ways. Certainly Holiday turned the cover off the ball.
Well, no question about it. I mean, the Cardinals are a different lineup right now with DeRosa and Holiday, and at times Julio Lugo in there. But, you know, they're driving runs, scoring runs, great pitching. And for the Cubs, offense has been their problem all season long. They're a much better team offensively than what they're showing. Their pitching has been good enough to be a playoff contending team.
And the Cubs are at the Padres tonight. Ted Lilly back his first start, come back from the DL. He had a little shoulder issue and knee issue, but that game is 0-0 in the second inning, I think. So he's on the block so far, doing well.
Here's the first baseman, James Loney, at 278 and 7 home runs. He's skidding right now, 3 for his last 29. Just 4 hits in his last 36. The Dodgers right now have got several guys who are going very, very well and others who are stone cold. And those are reasons why Los Angeles has come back to the pack a little bit in this division after building up a 9-game lead.
Well, you know, you got a lot of young players, and you're getting to the month of August where teams have made adjustments. You're getting a little bit fatigued, and mentally you get challenged a little bit. Andre Ethier stayed hot. But James Loney, Russell Martin haven't been as productive offensively. And, you know, consistency is the name of the game, and that's how you sustain a run to get to the playoffs. And, you know, when you struggle, you need somebody to step up and carry your team offensively, and that's where Manny Ramirez really needs to be that guy for the Dodgers.
And misses inside on Loney. All-star closer Jonathan Broxton has blown 3 saves in his past 5 appearances, but he's assured Joe Torre it's not a physical thing, it's location with his fastball. Here's the 2-2 to the right side, and Schumacher, the converted outfielder. An easy stab for him. Time for a Sports Center right now. Let's get it back to the studio and join Will Selva.
All right, Dave, thank you very much. This Sports Center right now brought to you by Sprint. Brett Favre may not be done. FoxSports.com reporting unnamed Vikings players seem sure that Favre is going to play for Minnesota this season. Meanwhile, the Nationals face a midnight deadline to sign #1 overall draft pick Steven Strasburg. If Washington can't reach an agreement with Strasburg, the team will lose its rights to him. Next Sports Center on ESPN following football. Stay current with ESPN News.
Will, thanks. Here's Brad Ausmus, the veteran catcher, as he takes a strike. Steve, are they going to get that done?
I think there's no chance of that. You know, you've got Strasburg and the Scott Boras camp looking at $50 million. Oh. and the Nationals have made an offer that would make Strasburg the highest paid amateur player becoming a professional player ever. And they're saying, look, we're acknowledging your position in this draft. Make a deal.
Broken bat looper, and there's Schumacher with the catch. No time running out on that. Carpenter pulls it together. He busts a bat there and gets him 1-2-3.
ESPN Monday Night Baseball, presented by Holiday Inn, brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer, and Lexus, who invites you to the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event. Hurry in September 7th.
Back in Southern California on what was a lovely day. It's turned into a beautiful night. Dodgers on top 1-0 on a Monday night as we send you the top half of the third inning. Dave O'Brien alongside Oral Hershiser and Steve Phillips. Interesting story developing here. The right-hander Charlie Hager making his Dodger debut. The knuckleballer has retired 6 in a row to start his night. DeRosa, who was acquired in June, will take the first one in for a strike. Hager spent 2 seasons pitching mop-up duty in rookie ball in Arizona back in 2003, and then he went home to Michigan. He enrolled at tiny Madonna University to help his brother coach the baseball team. He played on the golf team.
He actually thought about trying to make it on the PGA Tour.
Did he hold up? That's a swing and a miss. He went, according to home plate ump Brian Gorman, but it's not exactly the fast track to Dodger Stadium, is it?
He figured out that he was not going to make it that way, so he decided to come back. He called the White Sox that drafted him and said, would you take me back? And the White Sox did.
In there for strike 3 to get DeRosa caught admiring the pitch.
Well, Charlie Hager's having success so far. The Cardinals do not have a hit, but they are out in front, and he is up on most of them. That last pitch that he struck out Mark DeRosa was a good one down in the strike zone, but these knuckleballs aren't moving a lot, and they're up in the strike zone. And the thing I'm noticing the most is the Cardinals are making contact out in front of the plate. They need to try and take him to the opposite field, and I think they would find some success.
Here's Yadier Molina hitting .294 with 5 home runs, the all-star catcher. And he falls behind 0-1. Molina tied yesterday's dramatic come-from-behind win over San Diego with a 9th inning single. Well, we've seen a lot of swings like that already, Steve.
Well, the knuckleball's starting to tumble a little bit more for him. I think that he's got some of the jitters out. He's not overthrowing it, and he's letting it move a little bit for him now. And he didn't get as many swings and misses. The only one I remember from the first couple innings was Rick Ankiel getting it, but now it looks like some of these right-handed hitters are out in front, swinging over the top of it.
Holiday took a lot of big hacks, fouled a lot of pitches off.
Yeah, they're talking about it over there. Rick Ankiel trying to give it up. He's kind of shaking his head, maybe like, it's not that good a one. But I'll tell you what, when the nerves come around, like Steve said, and can you imagine being amped up and having all the adrenaline rushing through your body, your Dodger debut, your second start in the big leagues, and being a knuckleballer?
You're on ESPN.
With Steve Phillips.
Down he goes. Molina fans, back-to-back strikeouts by Charlie Hager.
That one had a little cutting action to it, it looked like. We see this from Tim Wakefield every once in a while where it looks like it's a knuckleball, but it'll tumble away from the hitter. You see that ball have a little break at the end, and you see Molina, that ball's beyond his bat. It's not above or below, it's beyond the extension of his bat, cutting away from him.
The late Bobby Mercer had the great line about facing Phil Niekro's knuckleball. He said, it's like trying to hit him. It's like trying to eat Jell-O with chopsticks. The perfect line.
Well, the interesting thing about that strikeout pitch to Molina was that was the least amount of spin we saw on one of his knuckleballs, and it was the most break that we've seen, the most drastic break that actually got that darting action that we're used to when you see a very successful knuckleballer.
Carpenter looks at a strike. Chris at 125. No homers, 1 run batted in. 6'6", out of the prettiest state in our union, New Hampshire. And is fouled back out of play.
Really, it is.
It is.
Really?
I was surprised that nobody reacted to that. You guys have obviously never been to the Granite State.
Well, are you speaking from personal knowledge there? Or?
This happens to be my home, yes.
Yeah. You don't say.
You trying to raise real estate values in the area or something, or what's going on? You got investment homes there?
Properties are for sale.
The most beautiful places in the world.
Nothing to do with that comment, but
a little Chamber of Commerce discussion here.
It is. It's an absolutely gorgeous state. Wherever you guys are from, I'm sure comes in second and third. Off the bag, that's a fair ball. It caroms down the left field line, and wouldn't you know, Chris Carpenter would be the first man to reach against the knuckleballer Hager. A base hit.
Well, right about now, the Cardinal pitchers on the bench are joking in the lineup about put 9 pitchers in the lineup. We'll hit them. You guys can't hit this thing. But stays right on it. That knuckleball ends up in the middle of the plate, and those short, quick, compact pitcher swings sometimes work out against the butterfly.
Well, it is a much shorter swing for Carpenter. He's a guy that just kind of takes the bat head to the ball. And listen, there may be something to that with a knuckleball pitcher on the mound.
So that'll bring up the leadoff man, Skip Schumacher, who grounded back to the pitcher in the first inning. It's that one through the hole for a base hit by the lunging Blake. Back-to-back singles, and the Cardinals are trying to start something here with 2 out in the third inning.
I don't know how this inning is going to end up, but I'll tell you, the Cardinal hitters are talking about the knuckleball and what it did for them, what it did on their pitch, and I'm telling you, they're telling each other, don't really overestimate this thing. Don't anticipate a lot of movement. Just stay back and wait on it, and he's been leaving it up. So if we can just be patient, the mystery of the pitcher is now gone in the second time around, and we will see how it affects the Cardinal hitters.
Brendan Ryan 0 for 1. He lined out to the first baseman Loney in the first inning. Ryan, a shortstop, 2 on, 2 out, 1-0 Los Angeles here in the third.
Ryan's kind of old school. He's like back to the 70s. He's got the mustache, the socks working, and the wristbands.
He's got the bike chain around the neck, too, I think.
He was on base in their win yesterday 4 times. Up the middle. Diving play for Cole. and got the out at second base. What a play by Rafael Furcal. A diving stab and gets the force play. And he really bails out Hager as they were starting to reach him. How about reaching that one? Furcal with a dandy. Coverage of Major League Baseball continues on ESPN. 2 games out of the AL East. First catch Wednesday Night Baseball presented by Smirnoff Ice as the Red Sox take on Roy Halladay and Toronto. And then on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, both teams, the Yankees and the Red Sox, sending out their aces, CC Sabathia and Josh Beckett, in a dandy. Well, here tonight, both starting pitchers, Carpenter and Hager, who square off now, have been bailed out by tremendous defensive plays behind them. Ludwig with a great throw into third as part of a double play, and then moments ago Furcal laying out. He makes a great stab. Hager, the pitcher, cuts and misses, and down he goes. Second strikeout for Carpenter.
Now take a look at this play by Rafael Furcal. The Dodgers tied for the best fielding percentage in the National League. And if you don't get it done offensively, get it done with the glove. Range by Furcal. And I like the overhand throw right there. I think he didn't feel like he could get enough on it as far as away from the base. I needed a little more oomph. The overhand throw, Orlando Hudson getting there just in time, getting Skip Schumacher at second base. That is one heck of a play. Even if he didn't get the out, he saved a run. It was going to take another base hit to score a run, holding Carpenter up at third base. Great effort.
And Furcal on cue stepping in. He ripped a single and scored a run in the first inning. Although the Dodgers loaded the bases with 1 out, and that's all they got. Fewest errors in the National League by the Dodger D. That one into center and Keel right there. 2 up, 2 down. Let's get it back to the studio for an update. Here's Will Selva.
All right, Dave, thank you very much. The best team in the majors continuing its 10-game road trip with a 3-game visit to Oakland. Mark Ellis, line 1 to left. Johnny Damon makes the catch. Ryan Sweeney gets greedy. And greed, for lack of a better word, is not good in this case. He's doubled up. Still no score in Oakland. Yankees with a 36-12 record since June 24th.
Will, thank you very much. Orlando Hudson here tried to bunt his first time up and popped it up. And it was caught by Molina. Dodgers were really beaten up in St. Louis the last time they faced the Cardinals. Losing 3 out of 4 at Busch Stadium. They were outscored 16-1 in the first 2 games. Then lost 3-2 in 15. Rallied to win the finale in 10 innings. But that left a bad taste in the Dodgers' mouths. Fastball inside missing from Carpenter. Or is he looking any more comfortable?
He looks a little bit better to me because he's hitting his locations. He's getting down the hill, and I don't know. Maybe something was bothering. Maybe something wasn't. It was just my eyes. He looks better now.
I think he looked that way to all of us, but this one misses low to make it 3-1.
You know, Carpenter had a kind of a nerve palsy in the back of his shoulder a couple years ago, which caused him to miss time. The nerve kind of shut down on him. He's changed his exercise routine to try to protect that from happening again.
Schumacher with the stop, and Carpenter gets them in order. Back-to-back 1-2-3s. The Cardinals turn to their big bat, Albert Pujols, when we come back. Welcome back to Monday Night Baseball, presented by Holiday Inn from Dodger Stadium in LA. It's the Cardinals and the Dodgers on a perfect night for a baseball battle. 1-0 in Los Angeles, getting that run in the very first inning. But here's Albert Pujols, who can tie it in a heartbeat. He's hit 38 homers. He was the first man in the majors to reach 100 RBIs this season. His 9th straight season of 100 runs batted in. There it goes. Deep left. Kiss it goodbye. We are tied. Number 39. And 105 runs batted in. Albert touches them all.
He was 31 points behind in the batting race. He was 1 up in home runs. That puts him 2 up, and he was 1 down in RBIs. And with this swing, he's on top in 2 of the Triple Crown categories. And boy, is he a happy camper with Matt Holliday here in St. Louis, getting a few more pitches and being able to create a little more damage.
It's interesting how many of the high knuckleballs hitters swung at early on. Pujols waited for one down in the zone a little bit more and did some damage with it.
But as you both touched on, second time through the order now, the Cardinals have made those adjustments, and they're starting to hit the ball real hard against Hager. Holiday 0 for 1. He's popped out to second.
And Matt Holliday kind of overswinging a little bit, pulling off that one. I think he's got to think about going to right center field, stay on that ball a little bit, and react to it inside and open up. But if it's out over the plate, drive it to right center field.
Got a piece to foul it away. 1-2.
See the way they're defending him there, playing a little bit to pull in center, just a little bit off center, mostly straight away. Is because you can't command the knuckleball to hit a location, it's hard to defend to a location.
Pujols, maybe some hitting tips for DeRosa on a knuckleball. Backing up at third, Blake, a long throw. Holiday now 0 for 2. He hasn't had many hitless ball games as a member of the St. Louis Cardinals. Albert, by the way, is now 9 at bats away from 5,000 career at bats. And he has 744 extra base hits. Exactly how many Ted Williams had at 5,000. He had that many coming into tonight. So he's gone by Ted Williams in extra base hits within 5,000 at bats. Ludwig grounds out, 2 away.
You know, the body language that Albert is using on the bench right there about what his intentions were of where he was going to hit it. He was intending to hit that ball to the big part of the field to right center, and he told that to Mark DeRosa. He told that to one of the other hitters on the bench. He said the ball ended up in left field, but my intention was to hit it to right center, and that kept me on the ball and through the ball, and he's been schooling the right-handed hitters ever since that at bat.
Rip but foul by Rick Ankiel, who is 0 for 1. So in other words, he didn't really do anything he wanted to do, and it went out of the ballpark.
Right.
Well, fantasy and reality are what you're attempting to do compared to what actually happens. But the attempt to go to the big part of the field keeps the front side in, keeps you on the ball longer, and be able to react to the knuckleball to the very end.
A little pop up on the infield. Hudson will put it away. So Hager recovers after Albert finds the bleachers. Pujols having another MVP kind of a season. A monster. 39 home runs for him. This week on E60, exclusive access to the electrifying wide receiver of the Arizona Cardinals, Larry Fitzgerald. What was supposed to be practice and picture day became a parent's worst nightmare. The story of an 11-year-old little leaguer in New York. His coaches called him a miracle. And forget switch hitters, the Yankees have living history, a switch pitcher on E60 Tuesday at 7 o'clock Eastern time. Bottom half of the 4th inning, Andre Ethier 1 for 1 with a double, also gunned down at third base, and a terrific throw by Ludwig from right field and the first inning. He had 4 hits, including a home run yesterday against Arizona. Ethier, a very intense player. Joe Torre calls Ethier a contradiction. He says when you see him with kids and you see him with fans, he's wonderful, he's warm, he's friendly, and then all of a sudden he turns into that person. Ground ball to short, and Ryan will get him at first on a close play. Torrey says he reminds him of Paul O'Neill from his Yankee days. Tremendous compliment.
That's fiery. I mean, that's a guy with a lot of attitude and a lot of fire for the game and some anger. He plays with some anger, and they hope that that kind of tempers because they think that it limits a little bit what he can do as a player. And right now what he's doing as a player is pretty special.
Manny Ramirez. He took an intentional walk in the first inning. That loaded up the bases, and that play wound up really paying off for Tony La Russa. He only got 1 run out of a bases loaded 1-out situation.
Well, they are playing deep, man. He doesn't get out of the box real well, and Ryan at short is way out there in the grass.
Flared foul by Ramirez. Casey Blake on deck.
Even as deep as he's playing at shortstop, Brendan Ryan, I would bet once he gets out there that he's going to charge every single ground ball, that he will not catch a ball in the grass unless he goes really deep to his left. But if he's going to catch the ball in front of him at any kind of time coming towards first base, he's a hard charger.
It was interesting around the batting cage today. Manny Ramirez took a swing and pulled one deep down the left field line foul into the stands, and Matt Kemp yelled, "Don't pull the ball, don't pull the ball, hit it the other way." And James Loney and Andre Ethier around the cage saying, go the other way, go back up the middle. And so Manny then changed his approach during batting practice. And it was the young guys coaching the veteran and got him back on track. And Matt Kemp said, that's where all the money is. And Manny said, I know that's where all the money is. As he started driving the ball out there, and he said, that's why I have 5 mansions. And Kemp said, that's why you have a Ferrari. And Manny was chirping around the cage, but it was interesting to me that the stuff that was often told to the young players, they're now sharing to the veteran.
Oh, he took a swing and dribbled it foul. He certainly wasn't cheated there. 2-2.
It's a little different than a year ago when he was here schooling them and showing them the work ethic, and now shows the confidence that the young guys are starting to blossom here with the Dodgers, that the talent is not only on the field but actually is going to be part of the winning ways.
Manny 15th on baseball's all-time home run list with 540, 8 away from Mike Schmidt. Pops that one down the right field line. That's going to twist off into the stands. Still 2-2. He hasn't been great since coming off that suspended list, hitting .277, 7 homers in 37 games. For Manny Ramirez, decidedly mediocre.
Well, interesting, when you're trying to come out of a slump or you don't think you're exactly right, you try and take every pitch the opposite way. But I think when you're hot, you take the correct pitch the opposite way and you turn on the inside one. That last pitch that Manny fouled off, to me, looked like he was forcing to take the ball the opposite way to get himself on track, where that would be normally a pitch if he was really hot, he'd just react and turn on.
Well, one of the things that Manny gets caught up in doing is watch his back elbow. He kind of tilts his upper body and his shoulders. The backside comes up. Right up here, that back elbow comes up very high. When you get up that high, you've got to bring that back down again, and it's causing him not to catch up to the ball. It makes him very vulnerable to the high fastball as well, because he has to change his shoulders to get there.
Schumacher will lead it up off the deck and throws on to get him. Manny with a long at bat. He did sting it, but he's also out 0 for 1 as we take a look at our one-a-day men's strikeout leaders for this week. Tim Lincecum at 205. Wainwright at 149. Wainwright having an outstanding year at 14-7 for the St. Louis team. An underrated starting rotation. And a couple of Dodgers in there as well. And for every strikeout this season, One-A-Day Men's in Major League Baseball donates $10 to the Prostate Cancer Foundation. To date, the program has raised $241,270.
Here, that was the long list of Cy Young candidates, too.
And it is a long list, isn't it?
Well, it's a very confusing race. When we get to the Cy Young candidates in the National League, it is a confusing race right now between the way the wins are. That's a Clayton Kershaw right there for the Dodgers, but you got Wainwright and Carpenter.
Foul ball.
You've got Danny Herron. Oh, you got Jason Marquis in Colorado.
I'm just impressed you guys have said Wainwright's name so many times without saying Wainwright.
Wainwright?
I hesitate to say it because I know sooner or later I'm going to call Wainwright.
I say it right because he's bigger than me and stronger than me, and I don't want him to ever know that I said it that way.
I'm with Oral.
So I will introduce you to him, Steve, tomorrow.
Down low for a ball on Blake, who's 0 for 1.
You know, it's interesting. He really is, in my mind, a clone of Chris Carpenter. They're very similar in their pitching styles, both with a big breaking ball, similar in the amount of usage of how they go about using the fastball. And Dave Duncan, the pitching coach, really has kind of conformed his pitchers to be a certain style. There's some thought that John Smoltz out there, a reclamation project, he may be the guy for Duncan to turn around.
Carpenter strikes out Blake, and he has now posted 3 consecutive 1-2-3 innings as he has really come back.
Yeah, we're talking Cy Young here in Los Angeles at Dodger Stadium. A lot of contenders. The guy on the mound tonight, Chris Carpenter, #1. Adam Wainwright, a big-time contender. His teammate, Josh Johnson, down there with the Marlins. And I'll tell you what, in San Francisco on the West Coast, also Matt Cain and Tim Lincecum. These guys can bring it. They're putting up the stats, but I'm glad there's a lot of season left because an outing like this for Carpenter can change the scenario drastically.
Looking for his 13th win. Popped up down the line by DeRosa, but off into the crowd. Starting the 5th inning, a tie, 1-1.
It'll be interesting to watch Mark DeRosa's first swing right there. We saw Albert Pujols talking to him and Yadier Molina, the 2 guys who struck out in the first inning, and saying, look, go back up the middle of the field. And we saw DeRosa try to keep his hands inside of that knuckleball and go back up the other way.
DeRosa 0 for 1, struck out looking in the 3rd inning. Hammers that one, but caught by Hudson. Now, how about the front runners for both of you guys for Cy Young?
Well, look, I think that you have to look at Tim Lincecum as the guy. You look at the strikeout numbers he's logging right now. He's blowing everybody away. And Carpenter's numbers are fantastic. Strikeout numbers down a little bit because he missed a month of the season, that oblique strain. And Matt Cain, I tell you what, he's something else. And I think he's probably going to get his votes canceled out by the fact his teammate Tim Lincecum is putting up such a big year.
You mentioned Josh Johnson. He has more home runs than losses.
Look at that.
3 home runs, 2 defeats. Here's Molina hitting .293. 0 for 1 tonight with a strikeout as he loops a foul. Now, how about the contenders, Oral? We've seen the top 3 for both of you guys, but how about those who are up and coming?
Well, Josh Johnson, you just talked about the home runs dominating down there with Florida. I don't know if Adam Wainwright could be a contender. He might need to be in that front pack the way things are going. Danny Herron, of course, we don't hear much about him over there in Arizona. They haven't been on top of the pack, but he's having an outstanding year. And Jason Marquis in Colorado, I tell you, Jim Tracy turned that whole organization around with him at the helm, and Jason Marquis has been one of the main reasons to do it.
Bounding ball softly hit by Molina, who has to be playing a major role in the success of the Cardinals staff. Let's join Will Silva now in the studio for a Sports Center in-game update.
All right, Dave, thank you very much. The wild card leading Rangers adding to their lead against Minnesota. Elvis Andrus entered today batting .326 in August, .261 in the first 4 months. Here he is in the bottom of the 7th with the triple. Kevin Richardson scores from first. They made it 8-5 Rangers. That's where we stand at the top of the 8th.
The Rangers just rolling right now after taking 2 out of 3 from the Red Sox. Carpenter will be a fast out on 1 pitch. 1-2-3 they go. Both of these guys are rolling, and we're tied 1-1 in L.A. Well, as recently as the 25th of July, the Dodgers had a 9-game lead, but that has closed up. They've gone 8-13 since. The Rockies have come on strong. Now just 5 games back. They're certainly in a wild card hunt, as are the Giants, 6.5 out. Right now, Torrey and the Dodgers leading the division by 5, and they're tied up on a Monday night with the St. Louis Cardinals, who also have a 5-game lead in their division in the Central. It's 1-1. Here's Matt Kemp, 0 for 1 with a strikeout. Kemp batted first yesterday for the first time this season, batting 6th in this one. Steve, he's batted in 8 different slots in their batting order. He's hit everywhere except third.
Well, that versatility really goes a long way for a manager because, you know, Matt Kemp's a guy who get on base, he can steal a base. He has some power, so it gives you kind of the middle of the lineup. And, you know, when you want to give somebody a day off, to have a guy who could do so many different things to help, it's a real value. Mark DeRosa is kind of that guy for the Cardinals. Kevin Youkilis is that kind of guy for the Boston Red Sox. That versatility in the National League is a manager's best friend when you're resting players and making double switches and moving guys around. Both offensive and defensive versatility is important.
17 homers, 76 RBIs, hitting .311 coming into tonight. He cuts through that one. By the way, no player in the majors has batted in all 9 slots in the order this season. Not yet.
And you could do that if you're a Cardinal, because Tony La Russa will bat his pitcher 8th sometimes and get that extra leadoff hitter in the 9 hole.
Well, Joe Torre's done that a couple times this year as well. And when he had Juan Pierre and Furcal and Hudson all in the same lineup, he'd bat his pitcher 8th and put Juan Pierre in the 9th spot in the lineup. So Joe Torre taking something out of Tony La Russa. But, you know, Tony La Russa is a pioneer in this game. I mean, the way bullpens are used now, La Russa is one of the first guys to do it. The way that the infield plays back with a man at third base and charges in as the pitch is going to the plate is a Tony La Russa kind of invention. The way the first baseman holds the runner not on the bag but kind of off the base a little bit. You know, Tony La Russa is a guy who's so thoughtful about the game, and he's really made changes to the way the game's managed now.
And the original topic was the topic about, you know, batting the pitcher, you know, 8th instead of 9th. And now that, you know, you see the good friends and they talk baseball, they don't only talk like this on the field, but they call each other on the phone and stuff.
Earlier tonight around the batting cage, Kemp strokes that one down the line. An extra base hit. It'll be up against the wall. He's into second base, standing up. And the Dodgers with a good start to their 5th inning. A 2-base hit from Matt Kemp.
Looked like a high breaking ball, kind of a level ball that didn't bite very much. Matt Cain put a nice level swing on it. You see the high breaking ball just kind of up there in your eyes. just put the head of the bat on it. The ball's coming in about hand high, so it's not a real hard pitch to hit because you don't have to make many adjustments when you put your swing on it. He just drives it down there in the corner near Mannywood. And you can see Chris is upset about the location right there.
Kemp really worked for that double, a lengthy at bat. And you've certainly seen a difference in the hitting philosophy since Manny Ramirez came to Los Angeles. This is much more of a grinder lineup. Longer at bats. They're not afraid to bat with 2 strikes, to run the count deep. Ramirez has certainly had that influence. Loney 0 for 1. He's grounded to second. That one through the hole for a base hit. Kevin to third. They're going to wave him around. Ludwig with a bobble. And a run scores, and the Dodgers have taken the lead. Ludwig, who earlier tonight made a spectacular throw to nail a man at third base. This time bobbles it in right.
Well, the base hit through the hole, and Ryan Ludwig really took off in right field to bust it to try and get it. You see what he's doing as hard as he can. He's thinking home, and he just looks up just a tad and doesn't stay down long enough to get that ball in his glove. Not an error because the runner probably would have scored. He only lost the attempt at throwing the runner out at home. And nobody advanced on the bases. Loney's still at first.
Loney slumping, but picks up his 70th RBI. And the Dodgers have the lead for the second time. Runner goes, a cut and a miss. Molina, well, he threw it on target there, but Schumacher didn't get there in time.
Well, I really think that's how you have to steal against Chris Carpenter. If they're thinking you're a base stealer, then they're going to hold you on base. You know, James Loney doesn't have great speed. He's not a base stealer. I mean, he only has 6 stolen bases on the year, but you see him on the break there. This is the element of surprise. They didn't expect it. Molina comes up and throws a little late for Schumacher getting to the base. His momentum carrying him toward left field, and no chance to come in and put the throw. Great slide by Loney. He should have seen it, though. His helmet was over his eyes. He couldn't see where second base even was.
Well, certainly not a perfect throw by Molina. And now Ausmus stepping up. 0 for 1. He has popped out to second. And he knocks that one foul.
You know, Oral, the James Loney on the base hit to right field. You had a man on second base, nobody out. The hitter's job is pull the ball to the right side and advance the runner. Well, Chris Carpenter set up inside. Yadier Molina, they were looking for an inside fastball. You see where they are inside there. They left it out over the plate. Why would he want to go there? I mean, now Loney's a guy who tends to go the other way a lot, but you're playing into his game a little bit, aren't you?
You are a little bit. You're right there. And I think that maybe they might have thought about maybe pitching around deep in the order.
Ausmus pops it up, and there's Pujols to put it away. Let's get it back to the studio and Will Selva for an update. Will?
The White Sox opening a 3-game series with the Royals. Bottom 7, White Sox up 1. A.J. Przinsky, pack your bags. We're going on a 2-run trip. 9 of his 13 homers have come versus righties this season, including tonight. White Sox lead 7-4 at the top of the 8th. Guys?
White Sox starting play today 2.5 games behind the Detroit Tigers, who just picked up Aubrey Huff.
Good pickup for the Tigers. I mean, that left-handed power bat, a guy that is a blender to the lineup, keeps rallies going, can hit it in the gaps for doubles. I really like that addition for the Tigers. Probably going to use him in the DH role. You have Carlos Guillen back and I think getting close, being able to play in the outfield now. So I think for the Detroit Tigers, I mean, Jared Washburn has not pitched well so far, but Huff is really, I think, going to be a real asset to that lineup.
Here's the pitcher, Charlie Hager, showing bunts and fouls it away for a strike. A man at second base and a run in for L.A.
You like a bunt in this situation, Oral?
You know, this is where I wish pitchers would learn a short, compact swing and almost play pepper, because putting the ball in play with a short swing, you can't hit into a double play. You got a better chance of scoring this run or maybe hitting the outfield grass with a blooper with a little bit of a swing compared to bunting the guy over. Now, Tommy, at times, I played for Tommy Lasorda here in the Dodger uniform. At times, he would have our pitchers do that, but a lot of times, we would pull back and chop at it.
I mean, the reason I don't like it is you already have the runner in scoring position, and why put him on third base with 2 outs? Now you can say, well, the breaking ball in the dirt. You've got one of the best blocking catchers in the game, and Yadier Molina behind the plate. Give the kid a chance to take a hack at it, see if he can't flare one in and get a base hit. I don't like the bunt.
You get into the guaranteed bunt here, too. You're putting your runner at second at risk. They might throw him out at third, even when you lay the bunt down.
Not bunting here. He'll take a seat. That one on the inside corner. And Carpenter strikes him out for the second time. Well, there's the other side of it. Now you don't have a runner at third. The pass ball can't get that runner in. You're relying on Furcal to drive in the run. Dodgers on top here 2-1. Furcal has singled and lined out to center tonight. Chris Carpenter has won 7 straight decisions, but he's fallen behind here in the 5th inning on the road. Furcal now 4 for 13 against this pitcher. Play on. A runner, Loney, will dive in safe.
James Loney looks like he needs a chin strap for his helmet. He stole second base, and the helmet went over his eyes. He dove back in there, and the helmet hopped up over his head and blocked his line of sight.
No pitch. The time was asked for by Furcal and granted by Brian Gorman.
Now let me ask you this. He threw him a curveball on the pitch. As a pitcher, do you go back to the same pitch after having shown what your option would be there, or do you have to change it up?
This is one of those I know that he knows that I know that he knows that I know, and when do we stop?
Well, what do you do?
Well, the pitch right there, Chris is a little upset that they allowed him to throw it and they gave him time. But I'll tell you what, Furcal's had some good swings at fastballs. He lined out deep to center field and Keel. He got a base hit on a fastball, so I think he's going to make him hit an off-speed pitch if he has to come into him.
Here finally the first pitch that counts, and it's a breaking ball outside.
Interesting that they're paying more attention to Loney on second base than when he was on first. Albert Pujols played behind him on first. The hit and run came. He ends up stealing the bag, even though it was a swing and miss. Now you've got 2 out and a man on second. You really don't care about him at second base. Get your infielders back, knock the ball down, save the run, and concentrate on the hitter.
Well, I think the one thing that they're doing is Loney's getting out there pretty good, and to where he will certainly score on a single. I think they may jockey with him a little bit to keep him close, so that on a single they might have a chance to make a play at the plate.
But
Holiday
two
strikes
right. Contact, the guy breaks. It's the hardest time to throw a runner out from second base is with 2 outs, because you're going on contact and you go for it.
2-0, bloops a foul back out of play.
The time to limit the lead at second base is with no outs and 1 out, because with no outs and 1 out, the runner is a little more conservative, and the hitter is, you're not going on contact exactly from second base. So I understand what you're saying, to get a chance to throw him out, but with 2 outs, 2 strikes at the point.
But even with the arms in the Cardinals outfit, remember, you got a great arm in Rick Ankiel at center. We've seen Ryan Ludwig's arm as well. Matt Holliday doesn't throw that poorly. So, I mean, I think there's some element to that, but point well made.
The 2-1. Right there, DeRosa, side retired. But a run in, the Dodgers have taken a lead here. But Albert Pujols is right around the corner. He is due up third. Top of the 6th at Dodger Stadium. Capacity 56,000. It's Monday Night Baseball presented by Holiday Inn. Schumacher, the leadoff man, then Ryan, and then that man, Albert Pujols, who has already belted a home run tonight. Cardinals may need another one to down 2-1. Charlie Hager, the knuckleballer, who may have overperformed already to pitch into the 6th inning.
Second big league start, Dodger debut, and he is throwing the ball well. He's had the Cardinals out in front, the change of speed in the knuckleball, and also, you know what, as he's relaxed, Steve made a good point that the ball's starting to move a little bit more for him.
Well, the Cardinals are also a team that likes to swing. They see the 2nd fewest pitches per plate appearance of any team in the major leagues. I think with knuckleballer, you have to wait him out a little bit. That high knuckleball right there, that will be there later in the at-bat. Why don't you wait for one that's a little bit better? Take a pitch. You can always swing at that high knuckleball that's, you have to fight off a little bit, because it's not that overpowering pitch. So wait it out, be a little bit more patient.
Hager has not walked anybody. It's huge for him. Laced foul down the line.
Just to add that, by waiting a little bit, it allows the ball to travel deeper into the zone to allow you to go back up the middle with it as well and not roll over and try to pull the ball.
I thought you made a good point earlier about Albert Pujols talking to the hitters about staying inside the ball and leading more with the hands and the butt end of the bat, because then you're still in control of the barrel for the very end.
Hit weakly to first, to his right, Loney. He'll take it himself. Schumacher now 1 for 3 on the night. 1 man gone. Go beyond this summer. Please join Major League Baseball and the people all-stars among us in your community by signing up to volunteer at MLBGoBeyond.com. One out. Brendan Ryan on the way up. He's gone 0 for 2. Trying to get on for Albert. Ryan started the night hitting .290. And he will take ball 1. Some of the Cardinals still trying to figure out the butterfly pitch. That's in for a strike.
Well, key at bat right here for the Cardinals, because if Ryan can get on, then Albert Pujols probably gets pitched to. But Matt Holliday behind him, yes, there's a presence, but Matt Holliday's 0 for 2 with a pop up to second and a ground ball to third. Albert's got the home run, so he can be pitched to a lot more carefully if nobody's on.
Hager in the White Sox organization a few years ago said he studied a lot of tape of Tim Wakefield, and he worked with Charlie Huff in spring training. Huff called him the best knuckleballer he'd seen since Tim Wakefield. Sharply hit, but backing up Hudson. The short-handed Dodgers have 2 quick outs.
Well, we talked about the mystery in the first at bat. Albert Pujols grounds out on a knuckleball away, but the second bat, after understanding what it does and taking an approach to go to right field, staying on the ball long enough to crush it to left field.
Career home run number 358, bringing him even with Yogi Berra all-time in home runs.
Albert is also grounded to third. He'll lay off the first one high for a ball.
But a Yogiism about Pujols. He's a big clog in their machine instead of.
He's anything but. He's anything but clogging the machine.
I always thought that record would stand until it was broken.
Nobody goes to that place anymore. It's too crowded.
Okay, guys, that's enough. All right.
You know, Oral, you can observe a lot just by watching.
Okay.
We're loaded with Yogiisms.
Aflac.
Base is empty. 2 down. 2-1 Los Angeles. That's a strike. Pujols didn't think so. He thought it was up, and he lets the home plate ump Gorman know.
Well, let's see what K-Zone thinks. We've got 2 opinions and it's one on the vote.
Here's the thing. Charlie Hager may regret the day that pitch was called a strike.
Yeah, because here comes the 3-1. Oh, Albert had a cut. 3-2 as he fouled it back.
Not only was it called a strike, he's mad. Now you got Albert Pujols mad now that he didn't take a walk.
That makes him a bigger clog. Whoa.
Hager hasn't walked anybody. And he won't here. He gets him in the end. Hager retires them 1-2-3. Still 2-1 the Dodgers in Los Angeles. And Manny is coming up shortly.
Fly ball center field. Dave Henderson makes the call. A no-hitter for Dave Stewart. There's one. It's a no-hitter. His first career no-hitter, Fernando Valenzuela. 2 no-hitters in one day.
All season you've been helping us celebrate our 20th season of Major League Baseball on ESPN, casting your votes for the 20-year All-Star team. A-Rod, Wade Boggs, and Chipper Jones. Tune in Sunday night to Sunday Night Baseball to find out who wins. You can go right now to the MLB page at ESPN.com to make your selection for your favorite third baseman, one of those 3 finalists.
That's going to be an interesting vote on that one.
Do you still consider A-Rod a third baseman? Can you get around the fact that he was a dominant shortstop for so long? I know it's been some time since he moved over.
I couldn't look at him as a shortstop anymore, so I mean, I guess third base is where I'd consider it, but I think he is kind of that tweener because he split his time over that he's played between the 2 positions. But it'll be interesting to see where the fans, trying to predict where fans and maybe the regional votes come from on that one.
Orlando Hudson here. He's popped up a bunt. He's also grounded out to second. 0 for 2.
Making a prediction that Chipper Jones wins that vote.
I would agree with that.
I think you will. Especially with the popularity of TBS, and then being America's team through most of his career.
A great player for a long, long time. You know, really, when you think about that Atlanta club, They're hanging around there and playing some pretty good baseball. They've won 7 of their last 10. McCann has really become the face of that team in recent days. Hudson is out. He's 0 for 3. Andre Ethier on the way up next. Alex Rodriguez. Yeah, now you'd have to say third baseman A-Rod. Wade Boggs with over 3,000 hits. So many great years. And Chipper Jones heading to the Hall of Fame as well, you've got to think.
Well, Wade Boggs is already in the Hall of Fame. Chipper Jones probably heading there. And then when the controversy surrounding Alex Rodriguez with the performance-enhancing drugs and the admission of that, we will see where the votes put him. You know, we see how the voters have kept Pete Rose out.
Mark McGwire.
They've
treated him in the Hall of Fame balloting. The writers have.
How about you never hear a word about Rafael Palmeiro? Guys like that. You don't hear a peep out of anybody about them anymore. A guy who hit 500 home runs, 3,000 hits, used to be automatic for the Hall of Fame. Of course, it brings into focus, what about Manny Ramirez in the years to come?
Exactly.
Twice. That one in tight on Ethier, a double and a ground out tonight.
Manny Ramirez, Sammy Sosa, Barry Bonds,
Roger Clemens.
I mean, that's going to be some class of Hall of Fame to see how people end up reacting and voting to some of those guys that will be up in the next 4 years.
Now the count has gone to 3-0 on Ethier, and he rips that one to center field as he green lighted, but it'll be caught by Ankiel. 2 up and 2 down. Time for a Sports Center right now. We head back to the studio and Will Selva.
All right, Dave, thank you very much. Brett Favre may not be done. FoxSports.com reporting unnamed Vikings players seem sure that Favre is going to play for Minnesota this season. One saying, quote, "I'm telling you, it's already done." Meanwhile, the midnight deadline to sign #1 overall draft pick Steven Strasburg has come and gone for the Nationals with no deal. That means the team would lose its rights to him. Remember, next Sports Center on ESPN following football. Stay current with ESPN News.
Wasn't there an old country song, Steve? How can I miss you if you're never gone? Brett Favre, he hasn't left yet. He refuses to leave. He refuses to stay retired.
It's almost like the steroid controversy. Just when you think you're beyond it, it comes right back up again and smacks you in the face, and there's Brett Favre again.
Love to see him stay retired for about a year so we can miss him. Manny has been walked intentionally. He's also grounded out. He certainly went for the pavilion on that one.
Well, that's the pitch he can't hit, but that's that one where he starts to tilt his back shoulder up and that back elbow goes up. That high fastball up and in, because he has to untilt to be able to get the bat to the ball, and he's just not able to do that right now. Problem is, if you make a mistake and leave it out over the plate, he can do some damage.
He's homers twice off Carpenter in his career. Here's a high fly ball to center, and Keel has room though, and short of the track, he makes the catch. Carpenter bounces back after giving up a run in the 5th to get them in order, and we are on to the 7th already in LA.
ESPN Monday Night Baseball, presented by Holiday Inn. Brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. Toyota, moving forward. And Verizon Wireless, America's largest mobile-to-mobile calling family.
Welcome back to Southern California. Matt Holliday leading off the 7th inning in a game that has moved at a very brisk pace. And Charlie Hager pitching the Dodgers into the 7th. I'm not sure how many connected with the Dodger organization believe they would see this happen. In his Dodger debut, popped up a mile in the air on the left side. For a call, we'll take it. And Holliday's had a very frustrating night. An extremely hot bat, but he's 0 for 3. This week on E60, exclusive access with Arizona Cardinals electrifying wide receiver Larry Fitzgerald on a quest to become the best receiver in football. The extraordinary story of an 11-year-old little leaguer in New York whose coaches called him a miracle. And forget switch hitters, the Yankees have living history, a switch pitcher in their farm system. E60 presented by Ford, ESPN Tuesday at 7 Eastern. And the batter will be struck by the pitch. Ludwig could not get out of the way, although I'm not sure he felt it. 74 miles an hour.
Well, the one thing I was looking for with the Cardinals was in a one-run game against a knuckleballer, the ball's kind of floating up there, not to trying to do it all by yourself, but when you get hit, that sets the table. You don't have to worry about trying to overswing. looked like to me Matt Holliday's frustration from his pop-up is that it looks too good and they're swinging too hard.
Hager had retired 10 in a row since the home run to Pujols. Here's Ankiel with a runner going, and it's Luke Fowl out of play. Well, they did have Ludwig on the run.
Now, interesting, Tony La Russa trying to make something happen there, getting the runner started. Rick Ankiel swings at a high pitch, and that's when he took an awfully big swing at it. Where I think if you're going to put on a hit and run, you want to shorten that swing up and just make some contact. Pepper the ball, play pepper with it, as Orel mentioned earlier. Look for contact. Don't look for driving the ball.
And Keel swinging a pretty good bat, hitting .311 in his last 20 games. He tags that one deep to right. Forget about it. This is way back. Gone, a home run. A 2-run shot for Ankiel. An absolute no-doubter, and St. Louis has the lead. His 9th home run. He hit some absolute tape measure shots. This one deep into the bleachers.
Well, like we were saying, Steve, they need to shorten up and just try and make contact. And I think they should not try and do it all by themselves and hit a home runs until you're Rick Ankiel and you get a high knuckleball, and then you should put it out there in the right field pavilion. And right there, he's got one on the outer half, gets the barrel on it, and he knew right away.
But that's a lower knuckleball than all the other ones they've been swinging at. They've been swinging at pitches at the top of K-zone. That started at the top of K-zone and tumbled into the zone and gave him a much better pitch to hit and drive right there. The ball Albert Pujols hit out was in the middle of K-zone, not at the top, and the ball that Ankiel hit out, same thing. Everything else has been at the top where they've been almost trying to muscle it with their upper bodies.
Well, Joe Torre's going to get his bullpen going. It's 360 to the wall there as the pavilion starts in right field. This was many rows up into the stands. So a monster clout by Ankiel. And we'll see if Hager can bounce back. He's allowed 2 long home runs tonight. It just kept sailing and sailing. And gone for Ankiel. And gone goes the Dodger lead. Here's DeRosa. He has struck out and lined out 0 for 2. Only 4 hits aside tonight, so the pitching has been outstanding.
Well, Chris Carpenter has limited the damage. The Dodger defense has limited the damage with Rafael Furcal, Ryan Ludwig in right field. A great throw that has cut down a run.
High fly, well hit, center field. Kemp is back. On the warning track, has a little extra room to make the catch. And you wonder if Hager is running out of gas here. We get it back to the studio for an update, and Will Selva. Will?
All right, Dave, thank you very much. We have some drama between the Royals and the White Sox. Pinch hitter Mike Jacobs coming through in a pinch. 3-run jack ties it up at 7. The 16th of the year. He has an RBI in 6 of the last 7 games. But the White Sox would come back. They take the lead on a Scott Pasednik RBI single. The White Sox are 2.5 games behind AL Central leading Detroit. 8-7 is where we stand in the top of the 9th. Guys?
Well, thanks. 2 men down and a line drive base hit by Yadier Molina as he gets on for the first time.
Well, Molina went after that high knuckleball, but I think where they've made their biggest difference in this game are Albert Pujols and Rick Ankiel on a knuckleball that really broke down into the zone. Let's go back to the home run that Pujols hit. Look at the knuckleball down in the zone. Again, all the Cardinals hitters were chasing the ball up in the zone, and then Ankiel, again, the ball starts at the top and breaks down into K-zone over the heart of the plate. They've gotten themselves out being over-aggressive and swinging at that high knuckleball. I know if it's high, let it fly, but they've been swinging that one too high early in the game.
Carpenter, ground ball up the middle, and that will retire the side as Furcal takes it himself. But after the hit batsman put a man on, Rick Ankiel with a swing and a hit, and this one traveled a long way. 2-run homer. Cardinals lead it by 1. We welcome you back to Monday Night Baseball, presented by Holiday Inn from gorgeous Dodger Stadium here in Los Angeles. The St. Louis Cardinals have just blasted their way back into the lead. A 3-2 advantage over the Dodgers. Albert Pujols with a blast of his own in this one. Time now for our game track. It's brought to you by Captain Morgan. Albert in the 4th inning going yard as he took a low knuckler and drove it out of the ballpark. Carpenter has really settled down. Early on, he looked balky.
Yeah, at the beginning of the game, he was missing his locations, but Charlie Hager has been on his game until that swing. The blemish was Pujols, but then Rick Ankiel gets him for 2 more to make the Cardinals 3-2.
And Carpenter has the lead back here. He'll get Blake, Kemp, and Loney. Carpenter so far has been sharp since the first inning when he allowed a base hit and a double and then walked Manny Ramirez intentionally to load him up, and he got out of it mainly because of a tremendous throw from Ryan Ludwig, his right fielder, to peg a man out at third base when he erased Ethier. And his opponent tonight, Charlie Hager, making his Dodger debut. Very few expected him to be in the Dodger rotation at any point this season. He's given them 7 very good innings, allowing 3 earned. He hasn't walked anybody.
I'll tell you what, if you told Joe Torre you get 7 innings out of this young guy, he would take it in a second, because if he's in that long, it means he's been productive. And listen, with injuries, with Billingsley kind of laid up, with Hiroki Kuroda with the getting hit in the head with a line drive, their starting pitching is thin, and to get this kind of performance, it can go a long way to saving a week during the course of a season.
Well, they have had Hong-Chi Kuo and Belisario warming up in the bullpen. Here's Casey Blake, 0 for 2 tonight. He's the man that hit the fly to right field, where Ludwig came up gunning in the first inning and threw out Ethier. How huge will that play be in the end? A looper to right. Here comes Ludwig. He'll make the catch. Carpenter gets his first man here in the bottom of the 7th as we join Will Selva in the studio for a Sports Center in-game update.
All right, Dave, thank you very much. We head up to Northern California. Check in with the A's and the Yankees. Bottom 4, A's up 2-0. Mark Ellis doubles off A.J. Burnett. Scott Hairston scores. This RBI was his 8th over the last 5 games. Remember, Oakland has won 8 of 13, 3-0. Top of 7.
The Yankees have won 8 out of 10, have a 7.5 game lead in the American League East. Here's Kemp as he bends away from a breaking ball, and he has gone 1 for 2 in this one with a double and a strikeout. 312, 17 homers for Kemp, with 76 runs batted in, and he'll take a fastball outside.
Chris Carpenter really gets tougher the more you see him. The old adage about get him early with the big time starting pitchers. First time through the order, 244. Second time through the order, 224. Third time through the order, where we are now, 219. So once he gets on the beam, on that mound, gets comfortable, he starts to give headaches to hitters. Most people get tired and start to get hit. He gets better as the game progresses.
In for a called strike. Kemp thought the ball was up. We'll check out K-zone here.
Good movement on the pitch. Is it the right location? It comes all the way back, catches the corner.
His 90th pitch. Cut on and missed. And Kemp goes down hacking. I should say so. Second strikeout for him tonight.
I think Earl, he can't be overly happy. He got the out on this pitch, but it's not what he wanted to do.
No, this is a bad breaking ball. It's a hanger. It makes it back to K-zone for a strike, but Matt Kemp knew it was a hanger. He saw, his eyes lit up when he saw it, and he was trying to plant it out there where Albert Pujols hit it out in the left field pavilion. But it was one of those ones where it overhung and kind of jammed him. He had to pull off it, and it made the bat not very accurate.
Is James Loney, 1 for 2 with an RBI single. Of course, when he's been healthy, Carpenter has been one of the very best, winning the Cy Young in 05. He's had a slew of injuries. A labrum tear in 2002, Tommy John in 07, more elbow surgery in November of 08, a rib cage injury earlier this season. He's basically missed 3 entire seasons of his major league career, but when he's been healthy, Steve, they win.
And the amazing thing is, when he comes back from injury, he's instantaneously great again. I mean, most guys, it takes some time to get back on track. He came back from missing a month, didn't go to the minor leagues rehab, just came back, and he was phenomenal. I mean, it doesn't happen that way. He is some kind of competitor. He's a workhorse, and again, it goes to the reclamation projects. He was about a 500 pitcher or so with the Toronto Blue Jays. He comes over here with Dave Duncan. They got him when he was injured. They get him healthy, and they get him right on the mound. And I'll tell you what, he is some kind of competitor.
This is how they grow him in the United States' most beautiful state. That's in there for strike 3. Loney caught looking. Carpenter cruising through the 7th inning. He gets them 1, 2, 3.
ESPN Monday Night Baseball is presented by Holiday Inn. Stay 8 nights and score 2 MLB tickets. And in part by Wendy's. It's way better than fast food. It's Wendy's. And State Farm. To us, nothing's more important than being there.
Back in the City of Angels, the land of the stars. Los Angeles, California, 3-2. St. Louis has the lead already out of the 8th inning. Hong-Chi Kuo, the left-hander from Taiwan, will step to the hill after Charlie Hager really gave the Dodgers an unexpected 7 innings tonight in his Dodger debut.
Yeah, Hong-Chi Kuo on the mound came back July 27th after 3 months with a sore elbow. He's had 4 elbow surgeries. This one wasn't about a surgery, just tenderness in the elbow that took a long time to get out of there. But this is a quality arm the Dodgers could use down the stretch and in the playoffs if they end up there.
Tony La Russa counters by bringing up Julio Lugo. He will bat for Skip Schumacher, who went 1 for 3 with a base hit. Lugo got off to a torrid start. These are his numbers with the Red Sox and the Cardinals. Very respectable batting average. La Russa has played him at second base a bit. That one flicked foul by Lugo.
I'll tell you what, though, Hong-Chi Kuo coming back for this Dodgers bullpen is phenomenal. And here's a guy that, had 4 surgeries, and when you get 4 surgeries on that elbow, you're going to have some scars and some tread marks on that elbow. But Kuo comes back in. He's a 95, 96 mile-an-hour left-hander. They pick up George Sherrill at the deadline, another left-hander as well. They go with Jonathan Broxton. And that's 3 quality guys.
Popped up by Lugo around first base, foul ground. And Loney will grip it.
It goes with Belisario and Troncoso as well. Some depth in that Dodger bullpen.
MLB.TV, the ultimate baseball experience, featuring 100 out-of-market games per week live on your computer. For more details, visit MLB.TV, where baseball is always on. Hong-Chi Kuo gets his first man. Here comes Brendan Ryan, and Albert Pujols after him. Cardinals nursing a 1-run lead into the 8th. Ryan has gone 0 for 3. He's lined to first, hit into a fielder's choice, also tapped to second. Trying to get on in front of Big Albert. Cardinals have out-hit the Dodgers 5-4 in a pitcher's duel here in Chavez Ravine. In for a strike.
Well, we're 8 hitters away from Chris Carpenter. He only has 95 pitches. So if you're thinking that the batting order is going to get in the way, it might not if the Cardinals get a rally. He definitely, with that pitch count, could end up with a CG with 2 innings in front of him.
Well, you can't say enough about what Carpenter has done so far. Little looper that'll be caught by Loney. Barely had to leave his feet for the second out. Carpenter early was really struggling in the first inning. He did not look comfortable. He was wincing. He appeared to be almost grimacing while he was on the mound. Something was up, but whatever it was, he set it aside.
Well, you couldn't tell if it was physical, if it was mechanical. He was just uncomfortable, but he settled in. As soon as we brought it to people's attention, I mean, he went 3 up, 3 down there, and it was like, whoa, he found it. And the velocity went from 88, 91, all of a sudden it was 92 to 94, and he was locked and loaded.
Here's Pujols, 1 for 3 with his 39th home run of the season. Breaking ball across for strike 1.
What an adjustment. You hit a home run off a knuckleballer, and then to come in and you got to face Kuo. What an advantage for the Dodgers if, Hager could actually fit into the rotation a little bit. Who knows, they go after John Smoltz or they go after somebody else, but the bullpen loves to follow knuckleballers. I'll tell you what, there is nobody that looks like a knuckleballer. And then you come in, you throw 92, 94 after somebody's looking at 68.
4th inning, one of those knuckleballs found the seats thanks to Albert.
Well, that home run was extended Albert Pujols' hitting streak to 12 games. But during those 11 games before tonight, he's 11 for 14 against left-handed pitchers over that 11-game hitting streak coming in today. So pounding left-handers.
Oh, that was an awkward-looking swing. You never see Albert Pujols take that kind of a cut. Badly fooled. 1, 2, 3, they go. Carpenter back to the hill, tossing a gem. St. Louis on top here, 3-2. Last half of the 8th inning. Dodgers starting to run out of chances after the Cardinals got a pair of runs in the 7th on a mammoth home run off the bat of Rick Ankiel. Pujols took care of the other run with a home run of his own. Juan Pierre is going to bat here for Ausmus, who is 6 for 42 in his career against Carpenter. Julio Lugo will come into the ball game at second base for La Russa. And Russell Martin has come to the on-deck area. Will pop up down the right field line. Tough play for Pujols near the stands, but he can't get to it.
Boy, if I'm Tony La Russa, or if I'm the front office for the St. Louis Cardinals, I'm saying, Albert, please, no, Albert, let it go. Don't, Albert. We need you. Don't get crazy. Don't go into the stands. Fortunately, he's okay, but you know, you get to that wall and sometimes you can jam your foot. You see him, his left foot kind of jammed into the base of that wall. Remember, he's had that plantar fasciitis in the past with that foot, so always some concern when your star goes to the wall.
You know, I did a speaking engagement today, and one of the questions was about why are there no more complete games. Well, look at, even when I pitched at Dodger Stadium, the seats used to be where the dugout ended. Those first 3-4 rows of seats are new. That used to be an out, and now he's got a hit.
Up the middle, Juan Pierre coming off the bench. And a base hit for the pinch hitter. And that'll bring up Martin as he'll hit in the 9 spot and stay in the game and catch.
We talk about Chris Carpenter possibly completing the game. I'm telling you, the new ballparks and even the old Dodger Stadium, when you lose foul territory, you lose outs. And I really believe, compared to the olden days, compared to the old stadiums in the old times, pitchers have to pitch extra inning games every night. Every foul ball that goes in the first 6 to 10 rows used to be an out.
Interesting situation. Juan Pierre, great speed at first. Cardinals the best at shutting down the running game. Stolen base earlier in this game against the Cardinals. Only their 33rd of the season against 19 caught stealing.
Molina also has 7 pickoffs this year and 33 in his career. So if you take liberties, it's coming at you at first base. A tremendous arm, and he scoops that one out of the dirt.
Well, what's so difficult, Chris Carpenter's so quick to the plate. Molina's so good at getting the transfer and the release. That pop time from glove to glove, and look at that pick of the ball in the dirt. A lot of times he'll make a pick like that, and as his body is turning toward first base, he'll come up and throw to first base.
I'll tell you what, Julio Lugo is playing way up the middle. That is a big hole for Russell Martin to shoot at. You could drive a couple Mack trucks through that.
Now, does that tell you anything about how they're going to pitch him?
Well, you could be sinking it in to help you hit towards your defense. I would be very fearful of throwing that fastball away where the St. Louis Cardinals love to live, because that's a great pitch to just kind of block through that right side as a hitter.
And Lugo cheating up the middle in the direction of second base and does not have a lot of range left anyway. Former shortstop because of knee problems. Now at second base.
When I pitched, I wanted my infielders, especially my second baseman, to guard that hole, because the base hit to center field is first and second. The base hit to right field is first and third. I could pitch around first and second. It's very hard to pitch around first and third. No out and 1 out.
Shows bunt, drops it down. DeRosa with a charge, has the one play, gets the out on the tag. Down to second moves Pierre. And Martin got it done.
Now, only a second sacrifice bunt of the season. And, you know, typically on a sac bunt, you want to bunt to first base. But I think it was more of an element of surprise. And it allowed him to bunt it hard and not have to make the perfect bunt, because he showed it late. And he bunts it kind of hard, that tailing fastball, but able to keep it fair. And you see DeRosa come in and make the play on it. The only play at first base. You see Molina, good team defense, shifting down to cover third base, not allowing Juan Pierre to turn and go. Nice play all around. Good bunt by Russell Martin.
So the Dodgers have the tying run at second base, and Rafael Furcal the hitter. He's 1 for 3 tonight with a single. Excellent speed in the batter's box and at second base, although Furcal doesn't run nearly as much as he used to. Breaking ball in there for strike 1.
I'll tell you what, the left side of the Cardinal infield, Brendan Ryan is really dogging Juan Pierre back. It's almost like there's a man on first and you have the hole on the right side, but now with Rafael Furcal able to hit the ball the opposite way, it's like there's a man on second and it creates a hole.
And he's in so tight that he moves late to get back to his position, that a ball hit back up the middle. His momentum is moving to left field. It might be difficult to be able to react to come back up the middle on a ground ball.
0-2.
Well, Carpenter continues to throw quality pitches. After getting on the beam early in the game, he struggled very early, settled in, and the breaking ball has been a big pitch for him. Furcal has had good swings at the fastball. They've proven that within key situations, they want him to hit the off-speed stuff.
Carpenter has certainly built a Cy Young candidacy again after an injury early in the season. Just a piece of it here for Furcal. Still 0-2.
A better swing for Furcal right there. He overswung at the fastball on the one before.
Oh, this is a mistake right here. Chris Carpenter gets away from him. Watch, 0-2 count. Look where that ball ends up. Starts down the middle. He wanted to cut that ball from the inside quarter into his hands to set up something away or off speed, but he made a mistake. See where they go now.
This will be pitch number 104. Tying run at second. One man out. Inside, a ball and 2 strikes on Furcal.
Now, interesting sequence of signs there, Earl. He put down like break a ball in the dirt, signaling it down, or fastball up in the zone. Interesting signs from Molina to Carpenter.
Well, I think they weren't on the same page because Carpenter wanted to address the ball inside, and since he made a mistake with the cutter on the pitch before, he said, no, I don't want to go slow yet. I want to show him that I'll throw something hard up. Now they're finally going to the off-speed in the dirt.
He went. Down he goes. He offered at it at 95. Carpenter strikes him out on the swing and miss, his 7th K tonight.
Outstanding signs from the Cardinals. They had me even off this pitch. They're giving signs about breaking ball in the dirt, and that could be their sign for high fastball. They could have went reverse. The breaking ball gets them a strike. Then they go with the high cutter, and it makes it by him. Rafael Furcal, a great low ball hitter, and the Cardinals showing we're going to use the top of the strike zone to get you out.
Yeah, once you get them out, let's mark it in the book there. You see Dave Duncan keeping notes. You talk about the poker face for those two guys. They're always intense. They always look like they're worried. So, you know, they're never relaxed. That's why it's a poker face, because it's always the same look.
Hudson swings late and knocks a foul into the seats for strike one. Orlando Hudson 0 for 3 tonight. Pierre's still at second, 2 down.
Tough out here with Orlando Hudson, though. A guy, good contact hitter. Understands the approach of trying to go back up the middle.
291 overall. Pretty hot bat. Trying to pick up Juan Pierre from second and tie the ball game in the last half of the 8th. Inside, 1-1.
You know, Steve, you talk about the analogy with poker. Well, the professional poker players, when they play, talk about grinding it out, the grinders. And that's what Tony La Russa is. He is a grinder. He is intense every single pitch. And that skill as a manager and that intensity rubs off on his players. The Cardinals play every pitch to their best of their ability.
Chop foul back behind the plate. La Russa, not a guy who typically shows much emotion, but he did yesterday. When they rallied, they suffered through a couple of long rain delays. They rallied on a walk-off home run from Kobe Rasmus and wound up sweeping the San Diego Padres. And Tony said afterwards, that was pretty magical stuff.
Well, they had an hour rain delay and an hour and a half rain delay. Yadier Molina got a 2-out hit to tie it up, and Rasmus had the walk-off. But what managers appreciate is that players have every excuse to cash it in and just say, oh, this is a loss. But they concentrated right down to the last out and won the game.
Got him! He struck him out looking. He humped it up to 96. Look at the emotion there from Chris Carpenter. He strikes out 2 with a man at second. Still 3-2 St. Louis. A lot of great baseball coming your way on ESPN. Wednesday Night Baseball presented by Smirnoff Ice. The Red Sox taking on Roy Halladay and Toronto. Sunday Night Baseball. Both of the aces on the mound for the Yankees and Red Sox, Sabathia and Beckett. And in Monday Night Baseball, presented by Holiday Inn, Miguel Cabrera, Curtis Granderson, the Tigers taking on Vlad Guerrero and the Angels. We're getting into the most meaningful time of the season. How about this matchup, Sabathia and Beckett? Josh Beckett at 14-4. Right now, if you had a vote, both of you guys, who wins the Cy Young in the American League?
Oof, I tell you, that's tough to. I mean, Greinke's still in the mix for that as well.
Right there, you got
Halladay
to take Josh Beckett right there with that
Halladay
graphic
in the
for
mix.
me.
Now Martin will take over behind the plate now. Russell Martin, who came on to pinch hit. And Jonathan Broxton, the closer, who has been scuffling as of late. He has blown 3 out of his last 5 save opportunities. 25 out of 30 for the season. And Halladay will test him first as he fouls that one off his foot and went down howling in pain. Halladay having a tough night anyway, even before that. 0 for 3.
I'll tell you what, this does not feel good at home. Do not try this at home. You foul off the big toe. Oh, the nerves just drive you crazy. And I'll tell you what, you just hope you don't have a broken bone, because the pain will go away, but the fractures take a little bit longer, and that one stings.
Right on top of that toe.
That can make a grown man cry right there.
And Barry Weinberg, the Cards trainer, out there to attend to Halladay, who has been sensational since being acquired in July from the Oakland Athletics, hitting almost .460. Nobody else in the majors is even close to the batting average he has posted. And he's going to hang in there.
Well, it's one thing to swing the bat. It's when he breaks out of the batter's box to find out what that toe feels like.
Overall at .318, his combined numbers with Oakland. Just 1 for 12 against Broxton. Ludwig on deck, and then Ankiel, who has hit a monster home run tonight. 1-1.
Or we saw Matt Halladay with the sore toe now from the foul ball, but Jonathan Broxton's been dealing with that as well. How big of an issue is that for a pitcher?
One thing on your back leg, but it's on his front foot. When you go down there to land, you stand on one leg for a living. Your back leg at first, and then when you put all the pressure on that front leg, you need that foot to feel good.
Softly hit. Blake on a charge. The bare hand, smooth play. Safe at first base.
Well, any questions about Matt Holladay's toe? He just tested it right there for those 90 feet. He smelled base hit, and the foot didn't let him down. Casey Blake made a nice play coming in for the bare hand, but Matt Halladay tested the toe after the foul ball and found out that he can still run and run fast enough to beat this one out. Casey Blake charging. Nice job barehanded, and good job regripping the ball so quickly to get rid of it. But Matt Halladay strides it out. You call it at home. Yeah, he's safe. He touched the bag as the ball bounced. Definitely beat it.
So Halladay will come out now. They're going to bring a pinch runner in for him, as Ludwig went down the third base line to talk with Akendo about what they were going to do here. Halladay gutting out an infield single. Colby Rasmus, the hero yesterday in St. Louis, with a walk-off home run, will run for Halladay. Ludwig 0 for 2. He's been hit by a pitch. That was a knuckleball back in the 7th inning. And the fastball in there for a strike.
We talked about Jonathan Broxton's toe. The reason that front foot is so important, yes, he can still have the velocity, but it's going to hurt his location, because when your front foot lands, you start to generate the power and turn your hips and then your shoulders to bring the arm speed through. But that toe, that last bit of balance, is going to create the accuracy that you need.
Runner goes, fouled away. Rasmus was in motion with the Broxton pitch. He'll retreat to first.
Rasmus 5 stolen bases this year. I'm sorry, 1 stolen base this year for Rasmus, so the young guy not getting a lot of opportunities, but that fastball up and in to Ryan Ludwig, he really couldn't do a whole lot with it at 95 miles per hour.
Rasmus belting the game-winning 2-run homer off San Diego closer Heath Bell yesterday in St. Louis. Big comeback for the Cardinals. Maybe their signature win of 2009. And they have won 8 of their last 9 games, playing awfully well. The 0-2 pitch to Ludwig. Runner holding into the dirt. No advance, though, as Martin was quick to pounce on it.
Remember, Russell Martin did not start this game. Brad Ausmus pitching the knuckleballer Hager. You come in defense, get down there, make sure you get loosened up on the bench, loosen up with your at bat. Had a bunt attempt to kind of loosen his legs up, and he took that flexibility and the good sweat that he's broken. He got down there for a nice block.
Dodgers with very good defensive catchers. Martin's won a Gold Glove. Ausmus has won 3. One and 2. A 1-run game in the 9th. Runner holding again. That's too low.
Well, it's interesting. You know, we talk about Brad Ausmus. I mean, it's not a surprise they signed Brad Ausmus. They did it to try to help Russell Martin. There was talk around Dodger camp last year that Martin kind of let his defense regress. And they thought, you know what, Brad Ausmus could be another coach on this team, and who better to mentor Russell Martin, a younger, developing catcher.
A fun night for Ausmus. He was 6 for 40 lifetime against Carpenter, and he was catching a knuckleballer.
The life of a backup catcher.
Go get him. Throw over to first. The runner back in. 3-2 St. Louis. Pujols with a long homer. Ankiel with a longer homer. The Dodgers getting single runs in the 1st and the 5th. Two-two pitch to the home run threat, Ludwig. And he waves and misses on a pitch into the dirt. Down he goes, strike 3. That'll bring up Rick Ankiel as we take a look at our game-changing moment, brought to you by Holiday Inn.
Rick Ankiel in the 7th inning comes up and gets a knuckleball that drops down in the zone a little bit. He drives it way out of the ballpark and getting it done, and that's after taking a huge swing on a hit and run. Comes right back at him, takes a huge swing and drives it out of the yard.
2-run homer, his 9th of the season, putting St. Louis in the lead. They hold that lead 3-2. Cardinals looking for an insurance run. And that'll be in there for a strike along the outside corner. Broxton having his recent problems blowing saves. There's some question about his health, and Joe Torre came up to him and said, "Yeah, look me in the eye. Are you healthy? Are you okay?" And Broxton said, "Yeah, it's not that. My fastball location is bad." Which I think Joe Torre probably already knew. That's in there off the inside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike.
He has been watching the games, hasn't he? But, you know, it's interesting, you know, coming over, listening to the radio shows, they're talking about, you know, put George Sherrill in, let him be the closer right now. And I'm thinking, we just came from watching the Phillies. How do you think Phillies fans feel about Brad Lidge and the struggles he's had right now? Dodgers fans should be thankful that they have Jonathan Broxton and George Sherrill and Hung-Chi Kuo and James McDonald, the depth they have in their bullpen.
A strike, 1-2.
And you think about it, if the Dodgers move on to the playoffs or even through August and September, it's going to be the bullpen that really carries them, because Clayton Kershaw on the rotation, Chad Billingsley dealing with the hamstring. Joe Torre has a starting staff that's a 6-inning staff, and he's going to need that bullpen to carry through. Randy Wolf right there is an outstanding veteran for this club right now. Right there on the right-hand side, Clayton Kershaw, the youngster. But they're not going to be able to get on the shoulders of the rotation thinking they're going to go 8 and 9.
Inside. By the way, how about Randy Wolf on Sunday? Talk about giving a team a lift. He tossed a gem. He struck out 10 in Arizona to snap the Dodgers' 3-game losing skid. At the plate, he had 3 hits, including a home run. He was a triple shy of the cycle. At one point, he retired 20 consecutive Diamondbacks in a 9-3 win. And I think he piloted the charter flight home. The runner goes, swung on and missed. Throw down to second, skitters into the outfield. Down to third moves Rasmus as he pulls up there, and Ankiel struck out for the second out, but the Cardinals have a man at third base.
Well, creating action. Tony La Russa not sitting on that 1-run lead. He's going to find a way to get people in action, and Rasmus, Steve, you said, only has 1 stolen base. They decide to start him throwing through. Russell Martin makes a great effort getting it down there, but that 1-hop skip down there, it gets into right field. You watch the release, a quick release, but he gets it up on the first base side for call with the runner closing in. Doesn't really stick his nose in there and block that ball. And Rasmus, good heads-up play. That slide, he came up short, but he's still able to tag that bag going around to third.
So Rasmus with a stolen base, charge and error to the catcher. And E2, and they have a man 90 feet away. Big insurance run there for St. Louis. And here's DeRosa. He's gone 0 for 3, a strikeout, a line out to second, and a fly to center, which he hit a long way in the 7th inning. 2 down. Hit sharply right to Furcal, little bobble, but he collects it in time. That man stranded at third base. So high drama at Dodger Stadium. To the bottom of the 9th we go. Manny Ramirez is due up second behind the red-hot Andre Ethier when we come back to Dodger Stadium on a Monday night.
Moving from center field to left field, number 24, Rick Ankiel.
Last half of the 9th inning, St. Louis up by 1 run on a Monday night here in Los Angeles. Trevor Miller, the left-hander, is going to start this inning anyway for La Russa. Left-hand batter Andre Ethier will lead things off in front of Manny Ramirez. Rasmus will take over in center field. He was just stranded at third base moments ago. And Ankiel will move over to left field for the Cardinals defensively. And a closer, Ryan Franklin, is just starting to warm up in the bullpen now for the Cardinals out there in that forest beyond right field.
And the forest that matches the facial hair.
Yeah. Now first it's Ethier. A double tonight. He's gone 1 for 3. Little bounding ball behind the bag and a quick out on 1 pitch. The lefties are now 8 for 75 against Miller.
Number 99, Manny Ramirez.
Well, it's interesting. You think maybe he brings Trevor Miller in just to pitch to Andre Ethier and then to go to Ryan Franklin. The problem is that Manny Ramirez hitting .357 with 2 home runs against Ryan Franklin. So I think that, you know, as Tony goes out there, I think he's got an interesting thing. Whether he's stalling, he's going to look like he's signaling out there for Franklin. But Manny Ramirez, 2 home runs, hitting .357 against the Cardinals closer.
Would that been when Ryan Franklin, though, pitched against him before he learned the sinker and before under Dave Duncan's tutelage?
I'll let you know after the at-bat.
All right.
Manny Ramirez about to swing away here in the 9th inning in a 1-run game. St. Louis clings to the lead 3-2. Back in a moment. Well, Manny has been very quiet tonight. Intentionally walked in the 1st inning. Since then he's grounded to second and flied to center field. And now it's Manny against the closer. Franklin coming on after Miller got the left-handed hitter on 1 pitch. Bottom of the 9th inning, nobody on base. Franklin trying for what would be his 30th save. A 117 earned run average for the bearded right-hander.
This is the time that closers dream about. The best hitter on the opposing team, a 1-run lead, and you get to face him.
Problem is sometimes dreams are nightmares. And Manny Ramirez and the numbers he's put up against him, .357 batting average, 2 home runs. And Casey Blake behind him, .545, 6 for 11 with a home run against Ryan Franklin. Interesting matchups.
Chris Carpenter was terrific in 8 innings, allowing 5 hits, 2 runs. He can pick up the win, which would be his 8th consecutive victory. Franklin has 2 very tough hitters to go before that's secured. Popped him up on 1 pitch. Pujols is there. 2 down on 2 pitches.
Well, Manny Ramirez, we talked about when he overloads and that back elbow comes up, he creates an area where to swing he's got to change the angle and rotate his backside through. Watch his back elbow get up, and then he comes underneath the ball right there because he loaded up too high on the backside. See where is that back? Watch his back elbow go up. What goes up must come down, and that back elbow coming up means he's got to bring it down underneath the ball. He got underneath it and popped it up.
Here's Casey Blake, 0 for 3. And the Dodgers' last hope as the Cardinals lead it 3-2 in the bottom of the 9th. Six for 11, a home run against Franklin. High fly, well struck, backing up Rasmus on the track almost. He will make the catch, and that will do it. St. Louis hangs on and beats the Dodgers 3-2, and Blake just missed it.
He just missed it, but I think there was a little wind also knocking that ball down. That big flag does not whirl like that very often. I think there was some hearts in the stomach in the Cardinal dugout until that ball decided to get hit by the wind. Casey Blake thought he got it. Ryan Franklin wasn't sure.
Yadier Molina wasn't sure. Kobe Rasmus, never a doubt.
Oh. Final comments, gentlemen. It was a terrific ball game dominated by fine pitching.
Well, Charlie Hager on the Dodger side gave them a great outing, gave them a shot to win the game, but the possible Cy Young Award winner on the other side, you see smiles from Tony La Russa. He knows that ball was crushed.
And Albert
Had him all the way.
And Albert Pujols set the tone, taking the knuckleball out for a home run early, and then his instructions back in the dugout got the offense going again as well as they changed their approach. Rick Ankiel, big home run and a win for the Cardinals.
Cardinals win it 3-2. Coming up next, Sports Nation presented by Toyota. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Steve Phillips and Oral Hershiser, I'm Dave O'Brien. Thanks so much for joining us tonight at beautiful Dodger Stadium. Again, the final score, St. Louis 3 and the Dodgers 2. Now let's send it to Will Selva in the studio. Good night, everybody.